Tell everybody in the city, tell everybody in the town that it's about to go down here at Angels Combat Worlds.
Dice, hey, check, check, 1, 2. Hey, check, check, 1, 2. Hey, check, check, 1, 2. He dice, hey, check, check, 1, 2. Hola, mucho gusto, ¿quién tú eres? Mi nombre es Escochela, qué gusto en conocerte. Muchos dicen que estoy loco, que estoy malo de la mente, vivo en una isla.
Boom. Christian Schmidt, ladies and gentlemen, how are you, sir?
Doing great. Thanks so much for having me. Thanks for the invitation. Angels Combat World, the place to be, doing great things. I know you got 13 episodes already, so I've listened to the show. I'm going to continue to listen to them. And, you're talking about my two favorite sports on the planet, boxing, MMA. So I could talk about it all day, so I'm just thrilled that you're having me on. Thanks for having me.
Perfect, man. For those of you that don't know, Christian is the voice for a lot of companies and a lot of sports. Man, how did you get started in this? What was your road to becoming an announcer?
Good question. It's nothing I ever set out to do. It kind of just fell into place. It all started back in about 2000, when I was living in San Antonio. I used to host a TV show, cable TV show. It was a small little show. It was a lot of fun, and I used to, I love boxing, wrestling, MMA, but there was a pro wrestler named Shawn Michaels, WWE superstar,
Of course,
from San Antonio, and on my TV show, I was able to meet his lawyer, and I did an interview with him. And at the time, he had a school called the Shawn Michaels Wrestling Academy in San Antonio. And so we went to a school, and I interviewed him, and he was like my idol, like still is. And so after that, I got to meet a lot of wrestlers, and a gentleman by the name of Ray the Voice Aiken brought me in his company. And I just kind of came in just to be with the guys. I thought it was great, just being with the wrestlers, a lot of HBK students. And I don't even remember the first time I announced, but I started with wrestling, pro wrestling, and then I was a writer for FightNews.com and BoxingTalk.com for years, and I tried to get my shot at announcing boxing and MMA, but it's hard to do. And finally about, it was like September of 2013, Fito Martinez, AAA Promotions here in Laredo where I live, I told him I could announce for you if you ever need it. It took a while. Finally, the guy he used wasn't going to be there. I got my shot then, and then there I am. So, yeah.
Wow. So you're a wrestling nerd like me too.
Yes. Yeah, I love it all. Boxing, MMA, wrestling. This is my passions.
Wow. That's a great way to break into announcing, because like all combat sports give ring announcers this platform, because you guys are very important. For some reason, the showmanship of the business, either wrestling or other combat sports, like you guys are very important. So your first shot was with AAA.
Yeah, AAA Promotions in Laredo, the baseball field. It was raining that day, and I was nervous, but I did it. And I mean, all the years and years of doing it in pro wrestling on the indie scene in South Texas, different cities, prepared me, and it really it wasn't that difficult because of that, but the game of announcing boxing, MMA, and then wrestling is totally different. So yeah.
How so? If you can explain.
Well, okay, in the state of Texas, you are not required to have a license to run an indie wrestling show. And to do professional boxing and to do professional MMA, there's all kinds of rules and regulations that you have to follow. You have to be officially sanctioned by the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation. And it's a good thing. I completely agree with it because, they make sure that there's a doctor there because it is combat sports for the boxing and the MMA. An ambulance there. They're licensed timekeepers, referees. Compared to indie wrestling, it's not, at least in Texas. Other places I heard, like Louisiana, places like that, you have to have a license. But it's much more laid back. It doesn't have those rules and regulations that boxing and MMA have. There's good things and bad things to working all three of the sports. They're different, though, but MMA and boxing are much more similar.
Wow, that's so weird. I didn't know that about Texas, and wow, and wrestlers get hurt every day.
Yeah,
just because it's a work, like they say, doesn't mean that.
Exactly. I mean, nothing fake about it. I mean, I've seen things. I mean, wrestling is brutal. The bumps that the hits they take. I mean, a lot, especially nowadays, with how competitive it is, and the guys trying to outdo one another, and one promotion trying to outdo another promotion, and then doing it so consistently, where active indie guys or guys at the top, when they're wrestling up to 4 times a week, pro boxers 4 times a year is a lot.
4 times a year is a lot.
You're more active, or mixed martial artist, as a pro wrestler. I mean, you can have up to 100 matches a year.
Easy.
Those are the boom, and it takes a toll on the body. So yeah, but right now there's no union, there's no sanctioning. There's no way that you have to make everything official in pro wrestling.
Yeah, I listen a lot to Taz, former ECW champion. He has a show. He talks 2 things. He talks a lot about his bump card, about how many bumps you take during your career. He says that his bump card is full. And then he talks about the a union kind of thing, because after Silver King's death a couple weeks ago, I don't know if you saw it. Unfortunately, he passed away in the ring. Like, it's the idea of dying in the ring is romantic, but it's not cool because it could have been avoided.
I interviewed him about 3 or 4 years ago. He was on Laredo, and
huge guy,
solid figure. Everybody was really excited. Here he was in Nacho Libre. Ramsey, Silver King.
Yeah.
We did it in Spanish. Me and my partner Bane, a co-host, and it was really exciting to meet him, and then really sad. I mean, just like what you're saying, 51. That's too young in my book. Way too young. I don't care if you're a wrestler. I don't care. That's too young, and but
Yeah, a lot of wrestlers. Like the most recent deaths, like say 2025, from the last 25 years, have been guys that are late 40s or late 30s, early 50s. From Eddie to Brian Pillman to Davey Boy to Dynamite Kid, all those people, they were all they were not old people.
No, I think that those involved in the business pretty well have an idea what might have happened to them, and they need to learn, because I mean, it's okay if you love it, but it's not worth dying halfway into your life.
Exactly.
And now, in the late 80s and the 90s, for example, steroid usage, we didn't really know the long-term effects and how dangerous it was. But now we do. So when I talk to some of the younger guys, I say, don't get involved in that. We know what killed them, and I mean, I'm just trying to say, stop doing it. Is my point? As to who's going to listen. It's rumored that there's wellness policies, but there's ways to get around it.
Yeah.
drugs, but I mean, it's just not worth your life, is what I'm saying, and there's a reason why it's illegal. Is why is what I like to tell people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. I mean, for the longest time, but still today, but for the longest time in the 80s, early 90s, like people wanted to see humongous men fighting against each other.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a little different. You like to see a guy like Ricochet. You like to see a guy like Pac. All the young guys are that are very athletic and all that. But back in the day, you wanted to see a humongous Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, we did.
Against the Ultimate Warrior, let's say. Another guy. Ultimate Warrior was what, 54, 55? I don't remember. He was very young.
Yeah, he was. He was around that.
Yeah, it's unfortunately it's a sad thing, but because the business involves a lot of entertainment aspect, let's say, the guys are hurting themselves. That for sure. These gentlemen are putting their body on the line. There's no question. But there's some pageantry involved. You have to have a presentable body still.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of HGH and a lot of steroid and running around, and it's sad. It still happens for sure. But what more with the guys back in the day?
Yeah, for sure.
Did you watch AEW? Double or Nothing?
I was working that night, but I saw the clips and I saw how excited everybody is. And as far as I feel about that, more power to them. And what Cody Rhodes and Dustin have done has been awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I hope it works. It's disappointing when a lot of experts, even wrestlers, want to say negative things about it. I think just as human beings, we don't like change a lot of the times, or if the change doesn't involve us or benefit us, we reject it. But, I mean, we need to think of it as new opportunities for more wrestlers to shine, more announcers.
Exactly.
Everybody involved, down to the fan.
Exactly.
Something else. And I grew up on WWE and I love it, but I'm just going to voice my problem with it right now. It's too damn excessive. I mean, Raw, SmackDown, I don't know what's on Saturday morning, but
NXT 205 Live, the UK program.
In the pay-per-views are every 3 weeks, and I mean, when was the last time you talked to your buddy about, did you see this guy versus this guy match? Or when do you ever talk about hype about a big match happening?
Nope.
Anymore. I mean, I could remember how exciting it was when I was 11 years old. The Ultimate Warrior versus Hulk Hogan, WrestleMania 6, and Shawn Michaels versus Bret Hart, WrestleMania 12, and we all talked about it before, and we all talked about it after. We never do that now.
Nope.
I mean, what's the next big pay-per-view? SummerSlam? I mean, I don't even really have a desire to watch it. I wish it would go back to where there was 5 pay-per-views a year.
Yeah.
And Raw was 2 hours on a Monday. And then if they want to have another programming, make it the B side. But I just that desire and that feeling of like if I didn't see it, I felt like I missed something. Now I don't feel like that anymore. But I mean, I'm not attacking WWE. I mean, they know what they're doing. They're a bazillion-dollar company. Vince McMahon's a genius. They know what they're doing, but as a fan, I can say what I don't like.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, it's good to see another big company giving opportunity to the rest of the talent that if they were in WWE, they weren't going to be used anyways. They let Cody go. And we just saw Cody and Dustin, who's 50 years old, put on a great match, a compelling match, a storytelling match that as a fan, you look at it, you watch this, and you're on the edge of your seat. And, it was a beautiful thing to see. It's a beautiful project. So I really wish them the best. That whole Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho thing, and then John Moxley coming after the match was finished. It was awesome. So I hope they keep doing great. We can talk more wrestling if you want. But my favorite wrestler was Taker. To this day, I think he has to be the greatest wrestler of all time. Who's your favorite? Oh, you said Shawn is your favorite.
It's got to be Shawn Michaels, hands down, because I mean he's from San Antonio. I'm from San Antonio, and back to the time when I met him, he was so nice, and we talked for like 4 hours. And I remember when that happened. It's back in 2000 at a school, thinking how many people wish they could sit down here and do this.
Dude.
And it was right about the time he had a child, and I think he still lives in San Antonio. I haven't talked to him in years.
Yeah, I think so. That's what I see. I don't know him, but I'm sure that's wow. You spoke to Shawn for a long time.
Yeah,
that is amazing.
It was the greatest thing. I mean, I was just like awestruck. But yeah,
that's awesome. Yeah, when people discuss that greatest all time conversation, that he's always there. People that are closer to this generation say he's the best. People from an older generation maybe say Ric Flair has to be the best. My argument against it is I'm always going to choose Taker because of his size and what he could do. But Shawn very rarely had a match that had a hiccup in it or something. And then Ric's matches, I mean, with all due respect, I've never taken a bump. Ric's matches were similar. It doesn't matter who he was wrestling. His matches were pretty similar. Maybe he was fighting a bigger guy or a guy that was his size. They look, he was a great worker for sure. But Shawn, there's something about Shawn that's special.
His matches were something about the timing and how he wrestled and how he made the other guy look so good as well, and just the drama that it brought. I mean, I'm always going to say it's the greatest of all time. Ric Flair, I mean, there's an old saying in the wrestling world, if someone's this good, they can make a broomstick look good. He could make a broomstick look good.
Mm-hmm.
By the way he wrestled. And he was just so technically sound into his 50s. And it was awesome just watching him wrestle and his figure four and then the interviews that he could give and the charisma. And that was him. If you watch the 30 on 30, it was him being himself.
Mm-hmm.
I remember when I did my interview with Shawn Michaels, he was talking about Triple H. And he was like, I was talking to Triple H, and he was saying, when am I going to get my big break? And I said, well, you just got to be yourself. And that really happened. And then when you go back to Undertaker, that's something interesting I'd like to share about. I modeled something after him. I'm not like all as enthusiastic about Taker as I am like HBK and Hulk Hogan, Flair. But Taker is a great wrestler, and he takes it very seriously. But what I model myself after as an announcer, what Taker does is, and I say this when I'm trying to help out the other guys or whatever. Mm-hmm. Taker comes out and just does that that whole thing and then walks so slowly, gets in the ring, and he does his motions and actions so little, but he has the audience.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just walking slowly to the ring, and the whole thing he does with his eyes, and how he speaks so slowly, and then the whole audience, he's just got a wrap around his finger. Everybody's just, whether you're sitting at home, everything. And my whole point is less is more sometimes. It doesn't have to be some guy looking out there acting crazy and being all energetic. And when I announce, what I like to do when I get in the ring is I stand in the middle of the ring, I smile, and I barely move at all. Because when you're not moving, the audience is more focused on what you're saying. And that's a common mistake I see a lot of other announcers do, is they kind of fidget, or they walk around, or they're doing this, and and then you start looking at their motions, and then you don't pay attention to what they're saying. But when your mannerisms are slower like that, I think that it's just there's more of an emphasis on what is this guy saying, and you focus on his words. So that's
No, that's 100%. Getting back to that, how'd you get in this announcing journey? How did you learn how to do this correctly? Did you keep messing up? Did you have an older announcer maybe take you under his wing? What were some of your learning stories, let's say?
I learned a lot from the guy who got me involved, Ray the Voice, and there's no like. I was in North Dakota back in April, and this guy was a boxing trainer. Said, "Did you go to school for this?" And there's not a wrestling announcing school, and when I learned as I went along. Did I make a lot of mistakes? Absolutely. Do I still make them? Absolutely. I try not to. I try to be on my P's and Q's the best I can. I try to have as much information up there as when I'm up there. I never, ever pause, or if I make a mistake, I immediately know what I'm going to do.
Right.
I smile. I just smile, I acknowledge it, and I laugh with the audience. And then we just move on. They start paying attention to what I'm saying. I never showed that I got upset or annoyed, because when you do that, then the audience is going to get brutal. And
True.
then you make it worse, and they're going to make it worse. And if you or say something nasty, then everybody's going to compete to say something
destroy you.
And I tell even the performers, when you're up there, don't ever let what somebody says get to you, because once they have, one person's going to go to 5 people, and then going to go to 25 people, and then everyone's going to start calling you the same thing that made you angry, and because these audiences, boxing, wrestling, MMA, a lot of times have been, drinking, or they're with it's a guy with his 3 buddies, and they're trying to show off for the next guy, or he's trying to show. So don't ever let something get to you up there, because once they've got in your head, they never get out. So,
True. And it's all eyes are on you, though. At that, in that moment, all eyes are on you. Whatever you say, whatever you don't say. If you do it perfectly, if you mess up, that's all you. The spotlight, literally, the spotlight is on you. Is this something you wanted to do that you knew you wanted to do when you were growing up, or not at all?
No, it was one of those things that kind of organic. It just happened. And once you do it, it gets very addicting, because when you have the power to make people react, whether it's 10, 100,000 people, it's like something you really like, and then you want to continue it, and then perfect your craft. So yeah, it happened, and then I love it, and yeah, I love doing it.
Wow. What goals did you have before getting into this business? What did you want to be?
Well, I used to be a TV show host, a news reporter. I've been, local in the San Antonio area, reporter in the Laredo area, national TV show host when I sold jewelry, international TV show host in Los Angeles. I hosted a show that was broadcast in the UK. We sold diamonds. And it just kind of fell into place. That's the thing about being an announcer. It's very, 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 very difficult to become one, because there's so little opportunities.
Right.
If you ever apply, or you contact a promoter, he's usually going to say, "Oh, I already have somebody," and it's probably somebody who's been using it for 10 years. Or, in the bigger shows that you see on TV, they already have their guys. And
right.
Michael Buffer, Jimmy Lennon Jr., Thomas Trevor, Lupe Contreras, Joe Martinez, Ray Flores, all great announcers.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
they've all been around for, Buffer, 30.
Woo. Buffer is in his 70s. Michael.
74. And so it's hard to convince somebody convince a promoter to give you a shot. And that's why with the promotions I'm involved with, I cherish them. And I come to bring my A game because I know if I don't, they'll get somebody else. And so I got to be on my P's and Q's as best as I can.
But there's not a lot of you guys. I mean, I think there's not a lot of people that bring that mystique, because that's part of what makes an announcer such a figure, is the mystique that they bring when they, because it's not just announcing in the red corner and the blue corner. You know what I mean? There's something about a good announcer that, I don't know, it just makes the show way better. That's why Lennon Jr. and even his dad, because his dad was an announcer too.
Yeah, he was.
Right?
He was.
And then Michael. And what about the Buffer family? Like, how, in what universe do two Buffers?
Like half brothers, and they met each other after like a long time.
Wow.
And yeah, I mean, he's Bruce Buffer is the biggest voice in MMA, and then Michael Buffer is the most well-known announcer in the world.
Isn't that crazy?
Anything. If you say announcer,
it's a Buffer.
Yeah. But yeah, I think Michael Buffer is the greatest of all time.
Yeah. Since you have to say Michael. Like, there's no, but it's incredible that, like, stepping on his heels, so to say, is his brother. Because he's the only voice we've known in the biggest MMA organization for the last 25 years. And that is incredible. What are the genes in that family?
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. When you started, was there anybody that, of course, Michael Buffer is someone you look up to, but maybe someone not at that grand scale, someone that you knew you had a chance to maybe talk to as an older announcer, besides the guy that broke you into the business? Was there someone else you looked up to?
Lupe Contreras from Houston.
Wow.
Vamos a ver quién es más.
Right.
I mean, he's always dressed to the nines, and he's always up there like smiling, like, as he and he has that real pleasant presentation. And I've met him, and a couple times now. And I think my top three announcers would probably be Michael Buffer first, Lupe Contreras second, and then probably Jimmy Lennon Jr. third. And in my opinion, the best MMA announcer is Michael C. Williams, who is the Bellator announcer.
Right. I can see that.
Move. I mean, his voice and how he looks, and I like the smoothness of it all. I try to calm myself down, but I don't like to. It's just like, shut this guy up. It's like trying to be more like, it's funny out of the red corner, waiting from wherever, and just having a pleasant voice, but being excited as well. Early on in my career, I did have a common mistake where I would get too excited and I would talk out of my, and
wow.
People would, respectfully, they would tell me. And so I've had to, focus more on talking from the diaphragm. And I've studied voice coaches where it just sounds better when you're talking and you're not getting too excited, but it's hard to find a balance. The night before I announce, I practice. I get the information, whether I'm at a hotel or my house. If I'm in a hotel, I'll just go out and do a vacant parking lot, so I can be as loud as I want to, and I'll have the information. And, I get the names and how to pronounce, and so come the next day, it rolls.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you. I was gonna jump to that. How do you prep for a fight night? How do you deal with these complicated last names? Is there anything you do for your voice before fight night and during the event? Is there something you do like mints or like like throat pills, or what do you do?
I should start. That's a very good question, Angel. The promoters, the good promoters provide you with the information, at least of names. What I do at the weigh-ins, and I try to be there, is like, I try to soak up information like, how do you pronounce your last name if I don't know how? How do you pronounce your hometown? The hometowns are more challenging than the names.
Mm-hmm.
The names are a little bit more common. It's more, and then do you have a nickname? Or I get to talk to their trainers, and if you're going to be an announcer, you're going to want to be at the weigh-ins so you can get comfortable. Getting to know them, because there's people that I've announced in Corpus or Laredo or the Valley or San Antonio that, on a dime, you could wake me up in the middle of the night, put me in the middle of a ring, and it just flows because I'm so used to who it is. It's just natural compared to somebody I've never met, I've never talked to their trainer. That's more challenging, but sometimes that happens if you're not brought in for the weigh-ins or you're only there for the actual fight event. But I have no shame to say, how do you pronounce your last name? Where are you from? For me, I'm used to pronouncing the majority Hispanic names. My wife's, from Mexico, speaks only Spanish. Yeah, my wife Rocio. So like that's the most comfortable. Those are the most comfortable last names. I know, like Martinez or Rodriguez or Reyes or Sosa or something like that. But like I was at Nationals, USA Boxing Nationals in Salt Lake City in December, and those Hawaiian names were very challenging.
Yes.
Yes. Very talented fighters, but I'd see it, and on paper, it's really hard to do that because there was over 600 fights.
Right.
Bouts is what you say in amateurs. It was in nationals. I couldn't. There's no way. I tried to talk to some of the people of how do you say this or how do you say that, but that you just sitting up on this pedestal thing, 4 different rings, and I couldn't do it then. But that's why I say, to answer your question, how do I prepare? I get what I can from the promoter, and I'll Google, I'll go to boxrec.com, go to YouTube, I'll ask around. If I can't find that person, I'll just go right up to the person. Hey, can you help me out here?
Right.
Where you're from, how you pronounce that, where is that located, what's my name, here's my business card, what's your nickname a lot of the time. So, yeah, I prepare as much as I can.
Wow. How do you take care of your voice before the event and during the event?
I drink, like, either coffee, hot tea with honey in it, because that is very pleasant on your vocal cords. If it's an event where there's only 7 professional bouts, that's not a strength. Okay. But when I do sometimes the amateurs, and like I was saying, when I was up in Salt Lake City, it was 5 days straight. That took a toll. It was really cold outside too.
Wow.
And I loved every second of it, but by the 3rd, 4th day, I was into my voice, and I just went to this coffee shop place and just drank as much of that. That what I was saying with the honey and the tea as I could, and just that was really the only one that's challenging. But when it's like the average Professional event is probably about 6 to about 8 fights, whether it be boxing or MMA or even wrestling, and that's not gonna be a
Yeah, so
stretch.
it doesn't really strain your voice
No,
that much.
no.
Wow. Where were you this past week? Like, you had a couple of events, right?
Um, my most recent event was in Eagle Pass, Texas. It was called Battle of the Badges, where it was customs and border patrol and fire department. Just a lot of fun because my father's from Eagle Pass, Texas, and I got to announce there. They have a nice venue. Maya and Alfonso, he brought me in for that. But then, before that, I was in Mercedes. I also, before that, I was in North Dakota for Virgil Hill. I'm his announcer. So, Hall of Famer, and I also do Tough Man. It's called Tough Tex and TOFF with my partner, David Leal, and Hall of Famer Orlando Canizales.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
How many companies do you announce for currently? Do you have a loop they run, or do you usually work with income?
Well, right now I'm under contract with Tough Texan, and what David Leal of Laredo is a businessman. He brought back the Tough Man contest, and back in March we had our first ever event, which was a huge success, where we allowed people that were just ordinary Joes that never fought, at least professionally. Once you got approved by the TDLR, they do have a strict policies. But once you're approved, you can get up and box. And it was great to just see people that, they had motivation to get in shape and want to live the dream. We had Butterbean. He came down. Yeah.
Dude, the legend.
Seeing him in person is like surreal.
Yeah.
I don't know
Yeah, he's a legend.
But just I remember when he pulled up, he had his wife, and he drove in from Alabama. He can't fly. No, he can't. And he got out of his vehicle, and I remember when I shook his hand.
Humongous
I'm
hands.
not a small guy myself, but he wasn't even trying. It was like,
Shook your hand, yeah, just normal.
But everybody loved him. He talked about his career, and I sometimes get angry because sometimes people don't or say something negative about him. He was the greatest 4-round fighter ever, and he may have not been the lineal heavyweight champion at the time because it was like Mike Tyson, Holyfield around that time period. But what he did for the sport, the excitement, that it caused, is very credible in my opinion. And so I'm a fan of Butterbean, and everybody loved him when he came to Laredo. And we're looking to have another event in Corpus, and he's going to come back for that. He's not in the best shape right now, but I'm hoping he gets in better shape and he can join our group again. It's called Tough Texan, TOFF TXAN. Tough Texan. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure Butterbean can still knock a couple fools out without a doubt.
Oh yeah.
Because he's strong. Is that like punchers are born? You can get stronger, but you're born strong with that kind of knockout power. How did you build your routine? Because you do have a routine where you're announcing.
Yeah. Well, basically,
how did that come about?
It all came about as a result of when I used to write for FightNews.com and BoxingTalk.com. I was not getting paid for each event, but I got to go sit ringside as a result. And I got to interview a lot of very, very famous fighters. The first guy I interviewed, the first guy ever, was Oscar De La Hoya.
Jeez.
I was like, It was right when I signed on and De La Hoya started his Golden Boy. Right in the beginning stages, the editor was like, "You got to go to this hotel," and I was just like, "Wow!" And also was so nice. And he made sure he knew my name. I guess he does that just whenever he meets a journalist, and he's so charismatic and he can control the environment so well. I interviewed him. I interviewed Manny Pacquiao, and that one was interesting. It was a very difficult interview because
his English.
He speaks Tagalog, and we had to talk a long time. This was when he fought Marco Antonio Barrera back in 2003 in the Alamo Dome in San Antonio.
Yeah, he was very new over here.
And the star was Marco Antonio Barrera. And I remember when I interviewed Marco Antonio Barrera, I had to get past this barricade and then past security and then go in this private room. When I interviewed Manny, I went to this police gym, Almost Avenue in San Antonio. Really nobody was there.
Wow.
Nobody even cared. And at the time, he was the other guy. And now look at what he's become. Jesus Chavez, Jesse James Leja, Julio Cesar Chavez Sr., Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., both of them. I'm trying to think. Interviewed a lot of the fighters over the years, but I don't do that anymore because the announcing is more fulfilling to me, and I get more.
Right. Yeah, you're busy with that. Wow, those are a lot of names, man. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was a lot of fun.
So, do you get more? Like recently, have you gotten more boxing events?
Yeah.
Besides that Tough Man that we were talking about a minute ago, you get more boxing events than MMA events.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just where I live in South Texas, boxing's more popular. Boxing more common. South Texas, or Texas in general, as you know, is more of a boxing state.
Mm-hmm.
Does it love MMA? Yeah, but boxing's more popular. The Hispanic following that it has. The MMA is more popular in the Northwest, California, or places. Even Florida's really coming up. So I mean, it's obviously that it's closer, but I love the MMA too. I announced for Rock's Extreme Combat in Corpus Christi.
Right.
And they put on an awesome show about twice a year at the American Bank Center. And it's a bunch of talented fighters, and you get to be on the beach and that breeze, and a very good band. It's a lot of fun, but I am talking to somebody right now involved in Combate Americas.
Oh.
And I was informed that I was going to be given a shot on June 21st in the Valley, but I'm going to be in Wisconsin announcing for Virgil Hill Promotions. So it's kind of, but hopefully one day I will.
Yeah. Your work speaks for itself, so you'll be all right.
Hope so.
Let's talk about boxing. The current state of boxing. Do you think? Let's get this out of the way. Do you think we ever get Wilder against Joshua or Joshua against Fury?
It's gonna have to happen. There's just too much money involved. All three of them are doing the whole. He's afraid to fight me. He's afraid to fight me. And he's afraid to fight me. I'll tell you what, no, I'm afraid to fight him. No, that's Alabama boy. And it's like
true.
I think they're all three afraid to fight one another because they're so damn good, and they don't want to lose their undefeated record. Granted, in December we had Fury versus Wilder in a thrilling fight. I mean, that drama that fight brought, and turned out being a draw. I
Still
agree.
pissed about it. I'm still
Even-
pissed.
Oh, who did you think won? Fury?
Fury won most of the rounds for sure. He got knocked out twice, and that's 2 10-8 rounds. But the 2 times he got knocked down, he got up and he brought the fight. He pushed Wilder. There's no denying Wilder is astounding. Wilder is incredible. But the truth is that the better boxer of the 3 has to be Tyson Fury.
Yeah.
I think Joshua is talented. I think Joshua can beat Wilder if he doesn't get touched in the chin.
Well, I remember the guy I commentate with, heavyweight David Rodriguez, and I were talking about this, and from El Paso, very talented heavyweight. He said that he hasn't seen that fire from Joshua since he fought Klitschko, and I have to agree because Joshua fought Joseph Parker, and I thought that fight could have gone either way. I thought Parker, with the angles he used, I didn't think it was that convincing like the commentators tried to put him over as, or the judges had it. Nah. And then when he fought Povetkin in his last fight, Povetkin was successful early on, so everybody's counting out Andy Ruiz Jr., but I
Better be careful.
That guy does not look like an athlete, but he has skills.
He can crack for sure.
Very talented fighter.
He's very strong. He's very strong and very smart too.
As to who's the best right now, I don't know. And then after seeing what Wilder did to Brazil, it was kind of hard to. I mean, that was like made you cringe.
Yeah, I think as you know, any fighter that wraps his hands, puts on gloves, and steps into the ring deserves everybody's respect for sure. From the amateurs to the journeymen to the champions in any combat sport. With that being said, I don't want to see any more of. I don't want to see those fights anymore. I want to see them work it out and fight each other. If I'm gonna squeeze somebody in there, it has to be Luis Ortiz, maybe, because he's the only one that's difficult enough for them. Even though Wilder knocked him out, but he was in trouble. Wilder was in trouble against Luis Ortiz. And Luis Ortiz is, for those of you that don't know, Luis Ortiz is 97 years old. And he's still going.
That was Ortiz Wilder was one of the 5 best. I recently named my 5 best heavyweight fights of 2000 since 2000.
Ooh, do it again. Do it again.
In no particular order, it was Tyson Woods in 02. And then it was Louis Vitale in 03. And then Joshua Klitschko, Wilder Fury, and then Wilder Ortiz. That fight was awesome. And the reason why Ortiz is not really that talked about, the American audience really does not accept Cuban fighters. Joel Casamayor,
Joel Casamayor, gee.
But the American public does not, I don't know why, but they don't sell the way a Mexican fighter would, or even a fighter from England. And it's really not fair because Ortiz is very credible. I mean, he's a beast. And I enjoy watching him fight.
Me too.
I'm a fan of this. But they just, like when he got in the ring after that everybody was talking about Joshua. Maybe they doesn't speak English. Maybe people don't really know how to identify him. Where's he from, really, or whatever. But the American audience, just those Cuban fighters, do not get the same fan base. And it's sad. It's really not fair to them, I don't think.
Nope, I agree. One of my favorite boxers, besides all of the Puerto Rican boxers, because I'm biased, besides that, one of my favorite fighters has to be Erislandy Lara. And
Another one.
yeah, and whoever tells me that Canelo Alvarez beat Erislandy Lara is a liar. He did not. Erislandy Lara won that fight. And I don't know. I think to your point, what you were saying about Cuban fighters, it's because in Cuba you don't turn pro ever. You're an amateur fighter until you die. So they have to leave to turn pro. And you see a 32-year-old amateur, easy, 28, 29-year-old amateur, and they keep working on those skills and slipping and being in the pocket and not being touched. I think that's a beautiful thing. I think that's a beautiful way to fight.
They have to have the best amateur program in the world. That's why don't we see them more? But I mean, I just don't see that changing anytime soon because they're like Lara once again. He has made so many guys look bad.
Horrible.
And they don't want to accept him. I mean, now he's living out of Houston, I think.
Yeah.
And like what he did to Canelo and Charlo, I think. But he does that. And then it's just not fair to him. So, but yeah, very talented fighter.
Yeah, he fought. I think 2 fights ago he fought Jarrett Hurd, who just lost against J. Rock Williams in a great fight. And he really made Hurd look bad. But then Hurd beat him. Younger, faster, coming up now. But Lara can make anybody look bad for sure. And he has been on the losing end of very tight decisions for God knows what reason, besides incompetent judging, which is something that combat sports are plagued by. Speaking of that, how could we fix judging? I always suggest having retired fighters in either sport become judges, or have the current judges complete some sort of basic training in whichever art they're judging. What would you do?
That's a good question. I think that there should be a sort of a panel or a group that does give feedback on the scorecard that they give out, and that if they get so many strikes or something negative against them, that they're no longer allowed to judge. Like Allie Bird,
Jeez, she shouldn't judge anymore.
But she keeps getting
big fights. She keeps getting big fights.
She was the one that had Canelo and Mayweather. But there's been other ones, and they need to be held accountable. And I mean, someone like Teddy Atlas should be in charge of.
Yes. Yes. I think we should figure out a way where Teddy Atlas can be via Skype on all the big fights, and the judges should just show him the card, like up to the camera. Just show him the card, and if Teddy Atlas screams at you, you need to redo this. You need to do it again.
Yeah, because it's in boxing than it is in MMA, though.
Yeah, it is worse. It is worse because
MMA, I agree, 98% of the time for the most part. But now the rounds are different. There's 3 and 5 3 and 5 rounds compared to boxing. With at least the TV fights, it's 10 to 12 rounds. But still, and the MMA judging is much better, I think.
Yeah, and there's a lot of details to it. Maybe get overlooked, mostly in the grappling area. Sometimes, maybe they're not judged correctly, but it's a young sport. Like, the sport, it's not even 30 years old. It's a young sport.
1993.
Yeah, it's a young sport, and of course, popularity-wise, it's grown incredibly. But the fine-tuning the details and the judging and all that good stuff that needs to be ironed out. Are you good on time?
Yeah, for sure. Love it.
Good. Yeah. All right. What brought you to liking and loving combat sports? What, if you recall, was this when you were a kid, or was it because you, with your TV show, you got involved with athletes, or what was it?
Hey, great question. Okay, I'm going to give an answer that a lot of guys 40 years old are going to say, but it's the truth. The Rocky movies.
Yeah, perfect. Yes, true.
I fell in love with the Rocky movies, and I still to this day love the Rocky movies. Even though the older I got, there's some things that I saw that really didn't happen in real boxing. But still, I think they're awesome. I think Sylvester Stallone was a much better actor than he ever gets credit for, and the actors that were involved, like Carl Weathers, and Dolph Lundgren, and Taylor Sheeran, and all those people. I love the Rocky movies, and it even made me want to be a fighter at one time. But then I started realizing it wasn't all as glamorous as it was in the movie.
It's not as glamorous as it looks.
I just couldn't have. I couldn't have been a boxer. It's just not my DNA. And then that's okay. I'm an announcer. And then going back to when I had my TV show back, and it was a show on cable television. It was a small show, but it still came out on cable TV. I got to meet somebody from Telemundo, and I remember he gave me front row tickets to a local boxing event as well. Really, 2021. And I got to sit, like I felt special, like a VIP.
Mm-hmm.
And I fell in love with the excitement that it brought. So kind of those things, combining the two. The other reason why I love boxing and MMA is the big event feel. And this is nothing against basketball, baseball, hockey, football, soccer, whatever. But like, I'm from San Antonio, and we love the Spurs, but we never say, hey, there's going to be a Spurs game Tuesday night. Let's all 6 of us get together and barbecue and have nachos and watch the Spurs game where it's the 38th game of the season, or like when are we going to watch the Rangers game or the Astros game and it's game number 89 of the season. Boxing has that, like, okay, in mid-September, Canelo's going to be fighting Triple G, or whoever, and hey, we're gonna have a party here, and we can plan that out like a month or 2, sometimes 3 months in advance.
True.
And we all have that to look forward to, and your buddy's sitting around the table drinking, saying who you think's gonna win, and so there's all that build-up and that significance. And just to explain why I love it, I mean, I'll have, for the past 20 years, I've had events at my house where when it's come fight time, I mean, everybody in the house is surrounding the TV. I mean, the moms, the sisters, even the girls that don't care about boxing, everybody's just
focused
watching. You got celebrities ringside, and then, anybody can understand the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it's the first time ever watching it. And there's just that intensity that boxing and MMA bring, unlike any other sport, for the main event. And that's why I love it so much. There's just that sense of like, wow, I'm being spellbound for a period of time that, I mean, in the other sports that I was just mentioning, I mean, maybe you might get that feeling if your football team's in the Super Bowl, your basketball team's in the NBA Finals. Like, I don't care about the NBA Finals.
Mm-hmm.
But it just has that whole, wow, that significance, and then you're going to be talking about it on Monday morning. So that's what I love so much about it. And then as an announcer, just to be the center of controlling the ambiance and trying to speak in a way to where it makes it all the more special, makes me love it even more. So,
wow, that's true. That's beautiful, but it's true. That like you guys are like center stage, and trying to keep the flow of the event in itself. With the rise of bare knuckle boxing, have you been paying attention to that? Not really.
That's interesting. Very interesting. uh, I haven't researched it, but something about I love boxing, but it's brutal.
Mm-hmm.
I love MMA, but it's brutal too.
Mm-hmm.
But bare knuckle repeated blows to the head.
Mm-hmm.
Like the like I'm sure you've seen online like specials like on Viceland or something or Underground in England.
Mm-hmm.
Their champion guy was his face was just
Messed up, yeah.
it was hard to watch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, if a representative wanted to sit down with me and prove me wrong, I'm all ears. If a doctor wanted to say, actually, well, there's something you don't know. Like, one common misconception about professional boxing is getting knocked out, just like Brazil did midway through the first round, is much healthier than getting repeatedly punched over 12 rounds. A lot of people don't know that, but that's been explained to me by ringside officials because back in my writing days, they would say it's better to just get knocked out compared to getting punched 1,000 times. I was like, wow. So I didn't know that. I would have probably not known that. But so, and Paulie Malignaggi is really raising a big. Well, I like Paulie. How can you not? Or how can you not love to hate him? With that voice, Paulie's going to be. He's going to be doing this with bare knuckle boxing. But, so to answer your question, it's like right now I'm turned off. I just can't. I mean, there's things that are going to be brutal, but those things are too brutal. And to me, it's too brutal.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see there's too many cuts for sure. The argument against the gloves is just like gloves are not made to protect anybody but the hands. They're just so people don't break their hands. But it is for sure. It is like scar tissue gets built quicker. Like guys get cut quicker. But they had their last event. It was the guy that Paulie's fighting now, Artem Lobov, who was in the UFC MMA vet. He fought Jason Knight, and it was a great fight. It was bloody. There was a lot of blood, and they were super swollen after the fight. But it was a compelling matchup. I gave it a chance, and I'm okay with it because it's another venue for guys to make some income. I had Dr. Yeri Vasquez on the podcast twice. Super cool guy. He got. When David Feldman, who's the president of the biggest bare knuckle company right now, he posted something about the Paulie fight against Artem Lobov's going to be in Florida, and we attacked David Feldman, and apparently Dr. Yara is going to be the doctor for the event, so I'm super happy for him. But there's going to be a lot of scar tissue and a lot of stitches.
And he said it was safe.
And he said what?
Did he say it was safe?
Well, he's gonna work it. He's gonna work the event as a ringside doctor because that's he. I mean, he wants to. Let's see what happens. He's still waiting for the finer details, but he's never done it. He's never done a bare knuckle event before. He's done MMA and boxing. He's been doing it for a lot of years now in Iowa and Florida. So he's gonna do some research now, just because he has a lot of content in his social media about trauma and injuries and all that, but he hasn't really dug enough about the bare knuckle. So I'm super excited for what he's gonna put out when he works that event. If you were to be approached to announce this event, is this something you would do? Any events of bare knuckle?
It's easy for me to try to sound noble and go, no, but the check in front of my face, and if I saw an event and I talked to people about it, I could have an open mind, and that's just me being real. And a lot of other people would say, no, it goes against them, not like that. And
Savages.
yeah, because I don't like street fighting. I don't even like hockey fighting. That's bare knuckle. It's not a part of the game. I mean, I like physicality, but I do have my limits.
Right.
And I'm surprised it's even sanctioned. Because everything I've seen up until this point are like documentaries about something happening with Bobby Gunn and some
Right.
parking garage, and Bobby's a cool guy, but he's very tough, talented guy, but and a bunch of people needed an undisclosed application, and then they throw their bets down, and it's like, I mean, I don't, that kind of stuff, like Kimbo Sly is what he used to do. And, it's not my thing, and I just don't think it's a good example, especially for the youth of today, to see something like that. But, like I said, I'm all ears. I haven't, I know BRB, it just is now, when was the first event? It was real recently, right? The sanction?
Not even 2 years ago, like maybe a year and a half.
And I would be willing to bet it's not legal in a lot of states.
Yeah, the first event was in Wyoming, if that tells you anything.
That was the first UFC event.
Was it? Wasn't it Colorado?
It was in one of the... Oh, that's right. One of the first 2 or 3 were in Wyoming because of the lax laws. But a lot of the times, events are held on Indian reservations at casinos.
Right.
Skirt the issues sometimes.
Yeah, just so they can avoid all the BS. Yeah. Let's start plugging away, man, because it's. I know you're tired. I know it's been a long day.
Oh no, it's been great, man. I loved every second of it.
Yeah, me too, brother. Plug away.
Well, come June 22nd, I'm going to be announcing for Virgil Hill in Wittenberg, Wisconsin. They're going to be having an exciting night of professional boxing. Frankie Lopez is going to be headlining that, Southern California, taking a guy on named Valeria from Wisconsin. I'm going to be doing that, and then I also am possibly going to be announcing in Puerto Rico on August 18th. We're getting that finalized. A week prior to that, I've been contacted today by Alabama, an MMA company, and then I got my Tough Man that's going to be coming back to Laredo in the weekend prior to whoever Canelo fights on the PSSA this weekend. I'm really excited. My partner Gabriel and Hall of Famer Orlando Canizales is going to be there. Box Extreme Combat is going to be having something, I believe, in September. Corpus Christi. And then hopefully the Combate Americas thing works out. Somehow, some way. But those things are going to be coming up. And I'm going to be continuing to announce wherever I can. And I'll tell you, I really appreciate letting me come on your show. You're doing awesome things. Keep it up. I'm going to be a fan as well.
Thank you, sir.
Checking out your shows whenever you have them. And whenever you want me to come back, I'll be more than happy to come back. So.
Yeah, man. Once you're here, you're part of the family, and you're doing great things. You're doing great things as an announcer, and you're incredible. I'm not I don't know how to measure talent, but I know you're a very talented man. That's something that just.
And that's also how you're going to use my intro to your show.
Yes. For those of you that don't know, Mr. Christian Schmidt is now the voice of Angels Combat World intro.
Awesome, man. Awesome.
So it's gonna be ready after I edit this out. All this this episode is gonna have the intro. So when they hear this, they probably already heard it.
Good. Looking forward to
man. Thank you so much. You're amazing. Keep
right.
doing what you're doing. Thank you for being here.
All right. Thank you very much, Angel. Angels Combat World. Check it out every single 2 week. I
try to do it weekly, but then, sometimes I get caught up with real life.
Well, I'm telling everybody out there to get involved. He's got a passion for this, whether you're a fighter, a trainer, a promoter, a major fan. This is the guy you need to follow because he's promoting our passion. So, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. You've been amazing, and we'll have you back for sure. Take care.
Thank you.
There you had it. That was my conversation with the amazing Christian Schmidt. I want to thank him for being here and for allowing us to record and just telling his story and how everything came about. His amazing voice. He is now the voice of Angels Combat World's intro. That is incredible. So thank you guys for tuning in. Please share, subscribe. Go to Stitcher and Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and every other podcast platform. Please visit our sponsors, Finish to Fight. Get $5 off using the code word $5 Angels Fans. Go to Just Heart Apparel, JHAEC.com, and use the code word Angel to get 10% off. And also visit Facebook.com/CryoShield to get more information about the Cryo Shield and how to use it and how to order it. And then thank me later after you use it. And tell your friends and family and just share and be awesome. That'd be really good if you just share this podcast with everybody you know. All right. Thank you, everybody. And I will see you on the next one.